In this lesson, we'll continue our review of Math Test 7, Section 4, Calculate Permitted, questions 23 to 25. Problem 23. A cylindrical can containing pieces of fruit is filled to the top with syrup before being sealed. The base of the can has an area of 75 square centimeters, and the height of the can is 10 centimeters. If 110 cubic centimeters of syrup is needed to fill the can to the top, which of the following is closest to the total volume of the pieces of fruit in the can? And so this is another formula you need to know. This is an additional topic in math question. We have a cylinder. And a cylinder, if you recall in these previous videos, is a prism. And a prism means it's a three-dimensional object with two equal bases. And the way to find the volume of any prism is the area of the base, and that's multiplied by the height. All right, and the base of a cylinder is a circle, and we know that the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared, and height, pi r squared is the area of the circle, and then times height times the height of the cylinder. That will give us the total volume. And so it's really just understanding this formula. We know that the base is 75, so think about it. The base is 75 square centimeters, and the height is 10. So we know that the base of the cylinder times the height, we know that the total volume is 750 cubic centimeters. That's the total volume. If 110 cubic centimeters need to fill it up, we want to know which of the following is the closest to the volume of pieces of fruit in the can. And so before we know 750 is the total, 110 is needed, we just subtract those two. We just subtract 110, and that is the answer, 640. So I think knowing these formulas will really make these questions a little bit easier. Let's take a look at question 24. The function above models the height h in feet of an object above ground t seconds after being launched straight up in the air. What does the number 72 represent in the function? So we have this quadratic, and we're told that it's launched, this is height, let's determine the height, is launched of an object t seconds after being launched straight up in the air. And we want to know what 72 represents. And you know, think about this in even a linear equation. Even with a parabola, what does 72 represent? If you see both of these have t, and if these are both 0, then the height, the initial height, is 72. It's really just understanding that when the time is 0, the initial height is going to be this fixed amount. And if you look at the choices here, it's A, the initial height in feet of the object. Again, sometimes you see these questions with a parabola where it might be the speed of the object, and it's describing some type of parabola, maybe shooting an arrow in the air, and let's say with the speed is 0, you have to represent or realize that's right at the apex. Sometimes it'll be when the height is 0, and that means it's on the ground. And so this is kind of a physics question, but just understanding when both of the times are 0, that's the initial fixed amount of the height. And so it's A. All right, let's take a look at question 24, actually, or 25. 25 and 26 is another two-part question, so I'm going to do both of these in this video. The table above gives the typical energy amounts of energy per gram expressed in both food calories and kilojoules of 3 macronutrients in food. And so we've got food calories and kilojoules. And let's take a look at the first question, 25. If X food calories is equivalent to K kilojoules of the following, which best represents the relationship between X and K? And so we're told that the calories, this is X and this is K. We just want to see the relationship. Before I would even look at the answers, I would just kind of eyeball these. We see here kilojoules is a little bit more than 4 times protein, 9 times 4, 36. So this is a little bit more than 4. 4 times 4, 16. You see that really the relationship is going to be a little bit more than 4, right? Kilojoules are a little bit more than 4 times greater. And so if you look at these choices here, which one represents kilojoules being a little bit more than 4 times greater? It's B, right? The kilojoules are the bigger one. It's 4.2 times the calories. Again, you could plug in a couple of these. Just be careful. But if you're ever unsure, you could plug in the answers. You check 16.7, plug that in. for K, and see that 4 times 4.2. And you don't really need your calculator for this. You just have to determine the right relationship. And so the answer here is B. And I'm going to do this last question because it's a two-part one. All right, 26. If 180 food calories in a granola bar come entirely from P grams of protein, F grams of fat, and C grams of carbohydrates, which of the following expresses F in terms of P and C? So here, this is another question. We've seen this phrase. We want to express F in terms of P and C. We want to isolate F. And so let's get the relationship between them. I'm going to go back to the table. 180 is the total calories, but remember the table gives us the distribution. It gives us, so food calories, we're given that protein, it is energy per gram is 4. Okay, so this is going to be 4P. And fat is going to be 9P, and carbs are 4C. And so that's the first step. You have to get the relationship. So 4P, 9P, sorry, this is an F, and 4C. All right, so we're just going to write it out with the distribution of all three. So 4 proteins, we know, plus 4 carbs, and fat was denied one, right? There's more calories in fat than carbs and protein, equals the 180. And now, remember, the question's asking to solve for F, express F in terms of them. And so what we're going to do is just isolate F. So that's going to be 180 minus 4. Have you noticed too, you see how these are grouped together? You could do minus 4P minus 4C, but I always glance at the answers to save a little bit of time. It's really going to, these are both 4, so it's the same thing as 4 times P plus C, right? And the last step is we want to isolate, we want to get rid of this 9, so we're going to divide everything by 9, and so then we get F by itself. We know 180 divided by 9 equals 20, and this doesn't reduce, this is going to be a fraction, so it's going to be minus 4 over 9 times the quantity P plus C, and that is the answer, choice B.